September 5th, 2013. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 28 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, the family-friendly podcast for the recreational gambler. Because, Mike, your daughters listen to the show, right?
Every night, almost. They listen to this. They listen to the newest episode like about 10 times. That's probably most of our hits right there. My daughter's laying in bed listening.
That's why we have to keep it clean. You know what I should do? Since I edit the show, one time when we're done recording, afterwards I'll like sneak in like something really nasty and inappropriate, put it on there, right? And then when they listen to it, they'll, Daddy, what were you talking about on the podcast?
Well, you know what? So much goes over their heads, like most of America, that they probably won't even notice.
All right, well, I'll give it a shot one of these days. I won't tell you when.
See what happens.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, my name's Mark Duvall, and of course, I'm here with Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So a couple episodes ago, we talked about a new reality series that's coming to CNBC called Money Talks with this guy, Steve Stevens, who's a real piece of work.
The infamous Steve Stevens.
And, he was convicted of fraud and, like taking money from the elderly. And, he just seems like... So he's got this new reality show that's premiering September 10th. So we're bringing it up not to recommend that anybody watch it, because this guy seems pretty despicable.
Yeah, but we're going to watch it.
But you and I will watch it, and then we'll talk about it. Have you seen any clips of the show?
No.
So Mark over at the AC to LV website posted some links to some clips, and I watched. And this guy, I mean, he's just awful. There's this arrogance and kind of swagger to him. He's saying, I'm a bookie breaker. The bookmakers are scared of me, right? That kind of thing. And oh my gosh, it does look pretty bad. I'm thinking, the bookmakers are probably thinking, come on over, we'll take your action, right?
Yeah,
You're
right.
full of it. Anyway, so it premieres September 10th. It's actually like a sneak peek. The actual series is supposed to start in March.
Oh, okay.
So this is just like an hour long,
just a
preview.
Yeah.
So who even knows if it'll actually...
Right. It'll probably be one of those things they'll have this and then it'll do so poorly. The ratings will be so bad. You'll never hear from it again.
I wonder, because it's CNBC, which... it's a financial network. I don't even know if they've done any reality series before.
It's strange. Well, my guess is that it'll air this one time. We'll never see it again. You'll read an article one day about Steve Stevens' body being found in that little alleyway that runs between
Harris and
between Harris and Venetian.
Oh,
that back way. Where
it's a quick way, but it's kind of dangerous.
It's kind of dangerous. It's a quick way, but at night, that's where they'll find him. Okay. They'll find him there.
All right, we'll
with
see.
A shiv in his back.
Right. So don't watch the show, but we'll watch it and we'll let you know how bad it is. I'm not going in with an open mind.
Yeah,
I think this guy's terrible. So there you go. So we got a letter from a listener, Carl, from Maryland. He was talking about how he went to Atlantic City recently and had some good crap sessions, won $1,000. Wonder what that's like.
Well, this weekend we did.
This week we did okay.
Yeah, this week we did real good. So,
but he was there and he saw somebody betting the Buffalo bet in craps.
You don't see that much.
And he was asking what that is, because there's no, layout where it says Buffalo. And if he was watching it, the guy would probably be making the Buffalo bet. I don't know what the layout was where Carl was, but there's probably a place where they put it and they knew, okay, that's a Buffalo. And it's not obvious, even where they put it on the table, what it's really betting.
Well, it's like if you bet a horn high ace deuce or something, right? They usually don't have a specific spot for that, but they kind of put it on the horn area, kind of favoring towards the ace deuce.
Right. Some places do actually have horn ace deuce, but you're right. Yeah.
But,
so anyway,
like that.
So what's the Buffalo bet? So the Buffalo bet is kind of an obscure craps bet. It's actually 5 bets in one. It's a bet on all the hard ways and on any 7.
Right. So it's a hopping bet. It's a one-roll bet.
Right. It's, it's funny because when I wrote to Carl, I said, I think in most casinos, you're going to get like the 4 hard way bets are going to be on the real hard ways.
Right.
And then on any 7. But yeah, it looks like I was wrong, that in most cases it really is a hop bet. And just to explain the difference between the regular hardways and a hop bet. So like a regular hardway, if you bet on a hard 6, it pays 9-1, and you'll win if a 6 is rolled 3-3. And you lose if any other 6 is rolled or a 7.
Yeah, 4-2, 5-1, or any of the 7s lose.
But any other roll, the bet still stays out there.
Correct.
But a hopping bet on the hard way is really the next roll. The next roll has to be a hard 6.
Right.
So again, the Buffalo, if you threw out $5 and said, give me a $5 Buffalo, it's 5 separate bets. It's a bet on any 7, a bet on the hard 4 hopping, hard 6 hopping, hard 8 hopping, hard 10 hopping. Right, it's going to win or lose on the next roll.
Now it can be a Buffalo, and instead of a 7, be a yo, be an 11.
If you call a Buffalo yo, if you throw it out and say a Buffalo yo, then it's 11,
right,
and all of the hard ways.
Yeah. So you'd want to do that maybe in the middle of a roll because you're not hoping for a 7 if you're playing the pass line.
Yeah.
But on the come out, you might want to hop all the hard ways and have a 7.
Maybe. Now, see, this is where I thought the Buffalo, where it really is on the real hard ways, would make more sense. Because let's say it's a brand new shooter coming out,
right,
and you say, okay, give me a $5 Buffalo. That means $1 on each of the hard ways, and then $1 on a 7. And then if 7 comes up, the 7 wins $4 basically, and it covers all the hard ways. So it kind of protects the hard way bet there.
Yeah,
so,
and if an easy number comes up like 4-2, then you only lose $2. You lose the $1 on the 7, and you lose the $1 on the 6. You still have the other 3 hard ways.
Right, exactly. So anyway, I wrote back Carl and was telling him about this, and I decided next time we head out to RingCon, I'm going to just throw out a $5 Buffalo and see what happens. And really, I thought what was going to happen was they'd all look at me with blank stares and, what are you talking about? What's a Buffalo? But no, I threw out that $5. Said, give me a $5 Buffalo.
They immediately booked it.
Yeah, it was quick. It was, okay, gotcha. And the way they put it on the layout at RingCon, all the hopping hard ways are kind of next to each other.
Right.
And they kind of put it right at the end there.
Right at the end, signifying whenever they put it at the end of a row, it signifies everything in that row.
Right. But it wasn't anywhere near in any 7.
Right.
They just had to know. That's just something that they've gotten used to. So. But anyway, that's the Buffalo bet. And Carl wrote back and also asked if we knew of any other obscure craps bets. And I couldn't really think of any because there's there's the world bet that's typically not on the layout. And that's just a horn bet and an any 7. Right. And the horn is just hopping 2, 3, 11, and 12 and any 7. Most layouts, I think, will have a horn bet actually on the layout.
Right.
A few will have a world. There are some layouts where they actually, there's like a globe,
in Lake Tahoe,
a picture of an Earth.
In Lake Tahoe, they had a little globe on the side.
Yeah.
And that's where they put the world bets.
But it's not that obscure. I couldn't really think of anything that's,
And there's a lot of things you can make up. I mean, you can ask for, like I said, a horn high ace deuce.
Right.
It's not obscure, but it's something that somebody might not understand what you're betting on.
Right. Or if you threw in $2, said, give me high low. Well, that means you're betting on 2 and 12.
Right.
But, I was thinking, give me an all-day $5 whoop-de-doo working. I can't think of any other, kind of weird thing that, what's that? What's that?
Yeah, not that I've heard anyway.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, anyway, if anybody else can think of an obscure craps bet where you yell some noun and throw in your money and they know what you're talking about, drop us a line. On this episode, we want to talk about 6-card poker, which is a table game, kind of one of those carnival games that's showing up in some casinos. And before we do, this reminds me too. So talking about like carnival games and other kind of games, your casino host at RingCon is Alan.
Alan,
He's a great host.
He's an excellent
He's really
host.
good.
Yes.
Anytime we go out there, he immediately comes up to you and says, how are you doing? And asks if there's anything he can get for us.
Right. Yeah, he's very accommodating.
Yeah. So, Alan, we know you listen to the podcast. So we do have some requests.
Well, Mark has some requests. I'm not so hard and fast on him, but
All right. The first request, though, is from your dad.
my dad would like to see a bigger variety of table games.
Yeah, whenever we're driving up there, he's saying, oh, yeah, at Viejas and some of these other places, they've got the Buster Blackjack side bet, and they've got Spanish 21, and he just goes on and on. Oh, Rincon doesn't have all these games.
Yeah, he likes the carnival games.
Yeah.
And there's probably a reason they don't have them. And maybe they will after they finish their remodel.
Some of it's probably licensing.
Yeah,
right.
I'm sure,
That's they have to pay for licensing for
right.
it. Yeah.
But it would be nice to see a few more variety games like that.
So, Alan, see what you can do about that. It's not in your job description, I'm sure, but let us know. The other thing, this was a request I made.
This is solely up to Mark.
Mike needs lammers. Now, lammers are those little buttons that they have on the craps table that say like on, buy, off, lay, those things.
You want them for our home craps table.
Mike's got a great craps table that it breaks down. It's, you can take it apart and put it back together. And we've got dice and we've got, pucks for on and off, but we don't have any lammers.
Stick,
right? And it's hard to come across lammers. And when we're at the craps table there's so many lammers. There must be some extra lammers that you can give Mike.
Some old lammers laying around.
Just, So that's number 2. Number 3, the other thing was, on the craps table, they make you pay the VIG on buy bets ahead of time. And we've talked about this. And I wrote to the director of casino operations, John Sebastian, who you probably know, Alan, and he never wrote back. I said, hey, would you consider maybe changing it so that you only have to pay the VIG on winning bets? And he never wrote back. You probably know him, Alan, so see what you can do about that, too. Meanwhile,
okay, that's not going to happen, probably, all right? And they probably don't have any extra lammers laying around. They might get the more carnival games.
Maybe. But see, and of course, this probably, Alan has no control over any of this. But, we put a bug in your ear. So thanks for listening, Alan.
Yeah. And if you happen to run across a few lammers, Mark will take them.
Yeah. Yeah. If you just see some there's a lammer just lying on the floor at the casino. Oh, Mark,
in the back room.
In the back room. That's right.
Just a couple
the casino
lammers.
Host area. They're just talking. Hey, Alan, do you got any clients that want a lammer? We got some extra lammers back here. All right.
You could probably just make one, but.
Oh, no.
You want a professional.
I want a professional.
One,
I want hey, this is nice.
For all those times we're in the garage practicing our craps.
We got to break that table out.
Yeah, we haven't used it.
Okay. 6-card poker. So 6-card poker, it's a table game. It's a game where you're playing against the dealer, and you're basically trying to get a better poker hand than the dealer. And you and the dealer will each get 6 cards to make your best 5-card poker hand. Mm-hmm. So here's the way the game works. And the reason we're talking about it too is because our good friend Paul was telling you about it, right? He's playing it out at
Viejas.
At Viejas, which is one of the local tribal casinos here. So you start by making an ante-bet. So you put that out before any cards are dealt. And then the dealer will deal 6 cards to the player and 6 cards to himself. And the dealer, your cards are down, of course, but the dealer deals 3 of his cards up. So you actually see 3 of the dealer's cards. Mm-hmm. You look at your hand, and at that point you decide, okay, do I think that my hand is better than the dealer's? If you don't think it is, if you just got a terrible hand, you just fold, you lose your ante bet, and the game's over. But if you want to continue, you think you've got a chance to beat the dealer, then you have to make a raise bet, which is equal to the ante bet. Mm-hmm. So if your ante was $5 and you decide you want to stay in, you put out an additional $5, and then the game continues. And so if you haven't folded, then the dealer will reveal his cards, and you turn over yours. And if the dealer needs ace, king, or better to qualify. So if the dealer does not have ace, king, or better, that means he does not qualify.
Right.
And by ace, king, I just mean a poker hand where it's just ace, king, high cards, no pairs or anything. If he does not qualify, your ante bet is a push. But for the raise bet, you still do compare hands.
Okay, so you still get paid on that.
Yes, if you beat the dealer, you'll get paid on that raise bet. And if he beats you for some reason, which is possible depending on how you've played, then you lose that, right? Yeah. Now, if the dealer does qualify with ace, king, or better, Then you compare hands, and if you beat him, your ante and your raise will both get paid, even money. And if he beats you, he collects the ante and the raise, and that's it.
I wonder how they came up with the ace-king qualifier, because, I mean, sure, they run some statistics and figured it out, but God, doesn't that seem kind of, you would think, so ace-queen is a no qualify.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's all
I mean, I
worked
would
out,
think
yeah.
it'd be more something like, just intuitively, I would think it'd be more something like king-queen.
Well, keep in mind there's 6 cards here.
Yeah,
right?
that's
it's
true.
5 out of 6. It's not just
But I mean, how many times have you played 7-card draw and or
7-card
stud, and you've gotten, nothing, right? I mean, you get
well, I mean, think about it this way. Think about it like playing Pai Gow. How often do you get like ace high and Pai Gow?
Well, I'm a bad person to ask because I get Pai Gow a lot.
But yeah, ace king is the qualifier.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's as simple as that. And the basic strategy for playing, and I will post a link to the Wizard of Odds analysis of this. But you can play a very simple basic strategy where there are just 2 rules to remember. If the dealer already has you beat, like the 3 cards that he have exposed, it's like a pair of 8s, and all you have is a pair of 7s, right. Well, then you just fold, right? Because he's already gotten you beat. But if he doesn't already have you beat with the 3 cards that he has showing, just raise with ace-king, otherwise fold. If you have ace-king or better, raise, otherwise fold.
Okay.
And
that's
a very simple basic strategy. And if you follow that strategy, the house edge is about 1.63%. So a little bit better, a little bit worse than 1.5% house edge, which isn't bad for a carnival table game.
Yeah, most of carnival games are big house edges.
Yeah. And again, I'll post a link to the Wizard of Odds analysis. He actually has an intermediate basic strategy that's a little more complicated, but not that much more complicated. And if you follow that strategy, it reduces the house edge to 1.48%, a little less than 1.5%. So that's not bad. So there are a couple of side bets. And this is where I think the story gets interesting. They have a side bet called Aces Up, where basically if you have a pair of aces or better, you'll get paid at odds depending on what your hand is. Right.
Okay.
This is pretty common for these carnival poker-based games. It's just a side bet, has nothing to do with whether you win or lose against the dealer. It's just if you get a pair of aces or better, you get paid on it.
Right.
And the better your hand, the better odds you get paid. So that's pretty simple. They have another side bet called the 2-way bad beat. And on this side bet, when you make this bet, if either you or the dealer loses with a pair of aces or better, this 2-way bad beat bet gets paid. So again, it's just between you and the dealer. There are many players at the table, but you make this side bet. If either one of you loses with a pair of aces or better, you or the dealer, you get paid on this.
So if you beat the dealer with better than, say he has a pair of aces, you beat him with better than that.
Yep.
Or if you have a pair of aces and he beats you with better than that, you get paid. And I'm assuming you get paid odds based on how bad the beat is, how good your hand is versus...
Right. It's based on how good the losing hand is.
Right. So if you lost with like a straight, then that's going to pay more than if you lost with just a pair of aces.
Exactly. And the nice thing is, if you beat the dealer, and he loses with this, you get paid a little extra.
You win the hand.
But if he beats you, you lose, your ante and your raise, but you get paid on this side bet.
So theoretically, you could have the losing hand and make a ton of money.
Right.
Like if you, let's say, just as a example, if you had 4 3s and you happen to lose to his 4 5s,
right,
you would lose your ante and your raise, which probably are insignificant. You might be $10 or $15 bets,
right?
But you would win a ton of money on the side bet.
Yep, 4 of a kind. If you lost with 4 of a kind, it pays 5,000 to 1.
5,000 to 1. So if you had $5 up there, you're going to have $25,000.
That's pretty unlikely. Right. I mean, think of how often you've lost with 4 of a kind to another 4, especially with just 6 cards.
Right, especially with 6 cards.
But it's nice because this payoff, if you lose with a pair of aces, it's 9 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose, again, or if the dealer loses, either one of you loses, 2 pairs 10 to 1. 3 of a kind is 35 to 1.
Now, Paul said that he lost several times with 3 of a kind.
And that's kind of the thing that everybody shoots for. It's like, I hope I lose with 3 of a kind. I hope he gets a flush or something like that.
Right. They got a flush or a straight, and he had 3 of a kind.
And that's 35 to 1. A straight is 100 to 1. Flush 200 to 1. Full house 500 to 1. 4 of a kind, like I said, 5,000 to 1. And if you lose with a straight flush, it's 10,000 to 1. Although the wizard was saying here that the chance of that happening is about 1 in 25 trillion.
Okay. So just a little bit better than winning the Super Lotto.
A little bit worse than losing the Super Lotto. That's how bad it is, right? Well, the thing is, so this side bet, so that's the side bet. And apparently that's what people are finding kind of exciting. Right. And that's why Paul was talking about it, right?
Oh, he loved it. Yeah, because I think he played, and I think he 2 or 3 times had trips and lost. Yeah. And he'd have like $10 out there.
Yeah.
So that's $350 just like that. So it's one of those games where it seemed like it drained him a little, drain. Right. You're slowly going down, but then you get lucky and you get beat, or you beat the dealer.
Right.
And you shoot right back up.
Here's why the casinos love it though. The house edge on this bet is about 11%.
Yeah.
11. Even for a carnival game side bet, that's pretty high.
Right.
So what they have done is, this is great for the casino. They've found a bet that is exciting, that people like, and that they have a huge house edge on.
Right. And see, that's what my dad likes, Alan. That's why my dad likes these carnival games.
Yeah.
Because he's just there. He gets so excited when he wins the big bet.
Right.
That's why he likes 3-card poker.
Because
we try and get him to play blackjack and craps, and he's fully capable of playing those games. He knows all the right moves. He knows basic strategy, but he'll go play 3-card poker because he likes the excitement of hitting a straight flush.
Yep, and getting paid those odds.
And getting paid
exactly.
Odds.
So that's 6-card poker. Now, at the Stephen, who runs the discountgambling.net site, excellent website. I'm going to post a link or I'm going to link to one of the posts that he made on his blog about playing this out at Viejas. It's kind of nice. We've never met Stephen in person, but he lives in this area, in the San Diego area.
Well, we should get together and take him out.
Yeah, so he goes out to Viejas all the time. Yeah. But he was talking about how if you're at the table and you're not making this bet, this 2-way bad beat bet, you get all sorts of hassling from the other players.
Yeah, I bet.
He's saying that it's like as bad as he's ever been ostracized at a table for not making these bets. And of course, if he's in a situation where he would have won the bet, they just lay into him, right? Oh, you should have been making this, right? But again, 11%.
Yeah,
that's
pretty bad. It's kind of like, I don't know if you noticed this weekend we were out at Rincon, the Pai Gow jackpot is up to $260,000.
Right.
So if you get a 7-card straight flush.
7-card straight flush. With or without the Joker, but all 7 cards into a straight
7-card straight flush. $260,000. So everyone playing Pai Gow's playing for that, praying they get it. It's probably, it's probably harder to do than losing with the straight flush.
Well, no, it's not that hard. It's not 1 in 25 trillion.
It's right up there though. Let's put it that way.
It's slim. Okay.
But, everyone's playing for that. But what they do win is they occasionally get the second payout, which is 5 of a kind.
Oh, if they get 5 aces, because there's a Joker in it. If they get 5 aces, they get,
10%.
10%. So $26,000.
So it's $26,000. And evidently, a few weeks ago, one of the players was telling me that a couple of people actually hit that, got 5 aces in a weekend, but only one of them had a $1 bet and got the 26,000, so it went down the jackpot. But the other guy did not bet the $1 and did not get the 26,000 because he didn't bet the $1. Yeah. And it was funny because the person who was telling me said, and he was on the table with this guy. He said the guy was betting like $200-300 a hand. At Pai Gow. It wasn't like he was a $25 player. This guy was betting $200 to $300 every hand, and he didn't make the $1 bet.
Yeah.
Which is probably smart on his part.
Right, in the long run, it's the right move. Don't make the bet, right?
Well, after you lost the 26,000, that's a lot of hands to play. That's a lot of dollars to save.
Yep.
How long would it take to play 26,000 hands of Pai Gow?
At a $1 a hand? No, you'd be paying it like $10 a hand. So I don't know.
No, he would just $1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is the side bet?
Yeah,
26. Yeah, you'd never do it.
Yeah, you'd never do it.
So. I'm not going to figure it out. Because you caught me. Yeah, you really took me by surprise there.
And you don't have your calculator handy.
I'm not going to figure it out.
But I'll tell you what, it takes a long time.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. I think we're on the same page.
So I bet the $1.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm betting $300 a hand, that's like, I've got $1,000 out on all the numbers in craps. Of course, I'm going to have a, horn hi-yo.
For $5. For
$5.
All right. So that's 6-card poker. You won't find it in all casinos, but keep an eye out for it. And if you like an exciting bet that's going to bleed you dry, take a look for it. All right, let's move on to our poker home game segment. This is the segment on the show where we talk about poker games that you will not find in a poker room in a casino, but that you might play with your buddies when you get together for a home game. And tonight we're going to talk about Criss Cross, which is a pretty popular home game.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Here's the way it works. Everybody antes, and then all players get 4 cards down. And then the dealer puts 5 cards in the middle of the table. They're going to be community cards in the shape of a cross. So 1 card in the middle, right? And then 4 cards surrounding it to make a cross shape.
Right.
And the idea is that you will be making a 5-card poker hand at the end of this game using your 4 down cards and 3 of the cards in the cross that are in a straight line.
So either the horizontal or the vertical line.
Right. So the 3 cards that are in the horizontal or vertical line. You couldn't,
can't use one from the vertical and one from the horizontal, and
right.
then the middle one.
Right. So the middle one is going to be
in both,
right?
Yeah.
The horizontal or vertical will have 3. So you'll have 7 cards to choose from. And, obviously you'll choose the vertical or horizontal, whichever gives you the better 5-card poker hand. So the betting works like this. There's an initial betting round. And then the dealer exposes one of the outer cards. In other words, not the center card, but one of the outer cards. And then there's another betting round. And when we play it, we usually rotate the bet so that the first person to the dealer's left starts the betting, and then on the next betting round, it moves to the next person to the left.
That's a fair way to do it.
And just goes around like that. So there's a betting round. Then the dealer exposes another card out there. And usually you want to expose a card that's not in the same line as the first one that you exposed. Right. So maybe kind of the one to the left. You expose that one.
Yeah.
And then another betting round. Again, you expose a 3rd card in the middle, another betting round. You expose the 4th card, the 4th outer card in the middle, another betting round. And then finally you expose the center card, a final betting round, and then showdown, whoever has the best hand wins.
And we played this center card being wild.
I think it plays much better, yes, if you play where the center card is wild. Right. So people are staying in, and ultimately that last card is going to be a wild card.
Right, and it's always good, I think, in our games at least, we found that it's always good to have something like that to keep people in.
Yeah, it keeps interesting.
It keeps the game interesting. Otherwise, you could see 3 cards and say, well, I've got nothing. Even after 2 cards, you might think, you have nothing and you're out. But you get that center card, and it does make a huge difference.
You're waiting. And as far as strategy goes, so again, if you're not playing with a wild card, well, you're just going to use a strategy that's typical for community card games. Right. 7 cards, keep an eye out with how people are betting and what's been exposed and what have you. But with the wild card in the middle, you really want those first 4 cards to give you a strong chance of hitting a big hand. At the minimum, say a full house.
Yeah, I think you need a full house in this game for high.
And be making...
Or the wheel for low.
Well, we'll talk about high-low in a minute, but just for high, I think you want at least a full house potential and, maybe 4 of a kind and straight flush potential.
Right.
So those...
very often 4 of a kind wins.
Yeah, definitely. So you want those cards to work together. And if you have cards that don't, that kind of work together, again, like you said, maybe wait for those 2 exposed cards, the first 2, and see if they help you at all.
Right. If one of them helps your hand, then you're probably going to wait for that center card.
Right.
But if they don't, you probably have to get out.
Get out early. Yeah. Because at the end, everybody's going to have a wild card that they can use. Right. Because that center card is wild and all like it. So if a 3 comes in the middle, all 3s are wild. And there could be another 3 out there on the board. Right? You could, turns out a 3 in the middle and then there's just a 3 right next to it. Now everybody has 2 wild cards. So there are going to be some big hands.
And most likely somebody has 3.
Yeah. But like Mike was saying, we actually in our game, we also play at high-low declare. And I think this is the way the game plays best, actually,
Right,
with
sure.
the wild card in the middle and high-low declare, if you have enough players for it.
Right.
Because it keeps a lot of people in.
It is one of those games, too. Let's say at the beginning of a card night, we always have people arriving late. And they've kind of instituted a new thing to penalize those people. So if jackpot is won in the, first 20 minutes?
20 minutes, you get the whole jackpot.
You get the whole jackpot.
We haven't officially implemented that rule.
Yeah,
We've talked about it.
It's a good rule.
Yeah.
It'll get people to show up on time.
Yeah.
But yeah, when at the beginning of the night, when people don't show up, you are limited on games you can play, but you can play Criss Cross. Just play it high.
Just play it high.
Or just play it low.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. We've never done that, but you can just play it low only.
Yeah. And it's a game that you could play with 3 people, 4 people.
Yeah.
No problem, right? It is funner with 8.
Yeah.
But
but the more people. So if you're playing at high-low declare and the wild card and you've got, a lot of people in there, expect some really big hands. Expect the wheel for low or close to it. In fact, if I'm deciding whether to stay in, I pretty much need at least 3 cards to the wheel just in my 4 starting cards.
Yeah, right.
To hopefully make the wheel. And if I'm thinking high, I want 3 cards to a straight flush or trips, something obvious like that where I'm guaranteed, 4 of a kind.
Right.
But expect really big hands because if there are 8 people and at the end, high-low declare, the guy low is going to have the wheel or at the very least, 6-4, 3-2 ace. And the high hand's going to be 4 of a kind or better.
Typically.
I've lost with a straight flush in the game, right? Somebody had 5 of a kind.
Sure.
That
and you
can
will
happen.
see some oddities. I mean, we've had hands where it's like, trips 1 or something like that. But it's very, very slim.
Very slim. Yeah. So you need big hands. So that's Criss Cross. And if anybody else, again, has some poker home games that you want to tell us about, drop us a line. You can bet on that at gmail.com.
Yeah, and even if it's an old game that we all know, but you've added some variation to it.
Yeah.
I mean, all of our games, we have multiple variations. I mean, someone will call a game and then we have to, okay, how are you going to play this? And it's like, and it's a big discussion on how, because we have so many variations. So there's probably somebody out there who's got a game that we've all played, but they've added some little wrinkle to it, which, makes it interesting.
It's kind of a side note there. It's always good to let everybody know when you call a game what your rules for the game are in a home game. And I'll give you an example. We were playing Follow the Queen here a couple of weeks ago at the home game. And Jason was in the bathroom when the game got called. And he came back in. He said, "Oh, we're playing Follow the Queen, Jason." Mm-hmm. Well, in Jason's other home games, he's played it where queens are also wild.
Okay. Right.
And we don't play that way. Yeah. We only play where the wild card comes after the queen. That. So he went all the way to the end, thought he had a great hand, and he had a couple of queens. Jason, queens aren't wild. Right, and he lost the hand. Hey. Right, so always make it clear what your rules for the game are, especially if you're playing with people who haven't played with you before. So, And as far as poker home games go, we've been talking about them on the podcast pretty much every episode, and we have a page on our website that lists all the games we've talked about and the episodes where we talked about them. If you go to our homepage, over on the left-hand side, you'll see a link that says Poker Home Games. Just click on that. It'll take you right there.
So, speaking of that, you have a upcoming poker tournament.
For Dave?
For Dave.
Yeah, our good friend Dave has a poker tournament that's coming up September 21st.
Right.
So we'll probably podcast again before that, but that's coming. Oh, you've got a tournament coming up this weekend, blackjack tournament. Tell them about that.
It's a blackjack slot combo tournament.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a blackjack slot combo tournament. So I don't know the entire details yet. I'm waiting to get the information on that, but it's something where you play a certain period of time at slots and a certain period of time, a certain number of hands of blackjack. And then it combines, and it's basically an invited tournament. Certain.
You got invited by Alan, your host, and you're like playing on his behalf, right?
On his behalf, like his team.
Oh, okay, so all the hosts have their teams of their clients, right? Okay.
Right. So it's a competition amongst the hosts and amongst the players.
Okay.
And you get the prizes are like the funny money,
right, the free play.
Free play.
That's Saturday, right?
That's Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll come and watch.
Yeah,
if it works out. Hope it depends on what time it is.
Right. I'm still waiting to hear on that too.
Good.
But that's kind of a little fun thing. There are a lot of tournaments. I mean, depending on where you go to gamble. I mean, there are a lot here at Rincon.
Yeah.
That are
They're just free. Yeah, if you show up, just if you're platinum or higher.
Yeah.
Just like in the middle of the week.
Right.
Yeah, always look for the promotions like that at your local casinos, because a lot of times there are these free roll tournaments, usually like midweek, when they're trying to get people in, things like that. But a lot of times they're free, or maybe even $10. It really doesn't cost much. So.
They're great because it's interesting.
Yeah,
and if it doesn't cost you anything. My dad, when he could still drive by himself, he used to do a lot of those.
Yeah,
and now he has to wait for us to drive him, but when he could drive himself, he was there all the time, or when he took the bus.
Yeah. So, and one more thing too, I forgot to put it in the show notes. I believe it's September 16th. It's your first opportunity to apply for refunds from Full Tilt Poker. So remember, Full Tilt Poker.
That's a Monday.
Went under, and basically all of us who had money on the site were thinking, okay, well, we're never going to see that again. But then PokerStars made a deal with the government where they were going to pay back all the people who had money on the Full Tilt Poker accounts. So finally, we've gotten to the point where I believe it's September 16th, but just do a Google search. I'm sure you'll find something Full Tilt refund, where you can formally make the request. Uh-huh. And I was looking at my account. I only had like $200, but it was $200. I thought I'd never see it again. Yeah. I thought I'd never see it again.
That's a lot of money.
Well, there are people with like 5-figure balances there, But anyway, if you have Full Tilt money still on Full Tilt.
That's $280 if you put it on the 9.
I won't be doing that, but yeah.
Yeah, put it on the 9.
Maybe I will. All right.
Put it on the 9, because seriously, what's the funnest bet? What do all the dealers tell you to bet on?
The 9.
The 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's not going to be happening, listeners. But anyway, if you do have a Full Tilt account that you had some money on, September 16th, I believe, is the first day. So be sure to do that.
And if you want to email me, and I'll tell you the payout for what your Full Tilt money would win on a 9.
Okay. That's an open invitation to anybody who'd like to email Mike at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. He'll be happy. Just give him any number.
I'll tell you what the payout
and
is.
He'll tell you if you bet that amount on the 9 at the craps table, what would the payout be? Are you sure you can handle that?
I think I can handle it.
We don't need to create some kind of online calculator
Do it yourself.
Our Atlantic City plans are not completely firmed up, but we do have dates.
It looks like it's going to be November 7th through the 11th.
Or is it the 8th through the 11th?
8th through the 11th. Yeah, 8th through the 11th.
Yeah, that's Veterans Day weekend.
It's the Veterans Day weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
So we don't have times, or we don't know where we're staying yet, but we've slotted that time. So November 8th and 11th, we're going to be going.
Probably Harrah's.
But we'll be staying at a Caesars property.
It'll be a Caesars property, and according to my brother, Harrah's is the nicest of the Caesars.
Nicer
property.
than Caesars Palace, right? He was saying that Caesars is kind of old.
Kind of old and low ceilings, the old style.
Yeah. We've never been to Atlantic City, which is pretty embarrassing for a couple of guys who host a family-friendly gambling podcast.
That's why we haven't been to Atlantic City. Would you say that's the seediest of all the gambling areas in the United States?
Oh, see, that's tough. I don't know if seedy is the right. Yeah, I don't know.
We've been to Elko. Elko wasn't that seedy.
Elko wasn't that seedy, but they did have cat houses in Elko.
Yeah, which is nice if you're single and, that persuasion.
Right.
We did not take advantage of that.
Well, let's talk about our Elko trip sometime. Yeah, because it's in the middle of nowhere in Nevada.
Yeah, it literally is in the middle. So
hopefully we'll see listeners in Atlantic City. All right, that's going to do it for our episode this time. Be sure to email us with questions and comments at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. And if you're a new listener too, welcome. If you're a new listener, drop us a line. Let us know how you found out about the show. We'd love to know, how you came across the show. And also, Mike and I have kind of settled into a pretty comfortable stream of dialogue here. And sometimes we may be using terms or talking about concepts that you're not familiar with. So let us know if maybe we're just kind of moving along and maybe there's some terms or concepts that you're not familiar with. And also, eventually, I'd kind of like, maybe if we ever upgrade equipment, it'd be nice to get like a call-in line.
Yeah,
where people could call in with comments and questions. Maybe, we'll talk about that.
You'll have to wear a headset all the time.
Yeah.
You'll be laying in bed because somebody, in Guam will be calling you at 2 a.m.
Well, I'm not going to answer the calls, right? We're just going to have them record.
What fun is it?
We're just going to record
the call. Personally answer every call.
Hello, you can bet on that. Do you know what time it is?
I'd be calling you. I would be the one calling you. Hey, Mark.
It's Mike. Any calls? Anybody calling? I can't sleep. If you want, If you want to send us like a voice memo, like an MP3 recording, like through email, feel free to do that too. Send us a recording of a comment or a question. I know you can do it real easy on the iPhone. Right. If you just go to under utilities, there's voice memos, and you just start recording. And when you're done recording, you just select it. And one of the options is you can just email it. So if anybody wants to record a question or a comment, just record it and email it to us. You can bet on that at gmail.com. Visit our website, youcanbetonThat.com, where you can check out our show notes and leave comments. Very important, you need to follow us on Twitter, because we always tweet when we're on our way to a casino or at a casino, and we try to do it as far enough in advance as we know we're going to be doing it. And Mike wants to give away some money at the craps table.
I would love to give some money at the craps table. First of all, I'm going to give him the money, let him make a bet, then I'm going to introduce him to all the dealers.
So if it's Rincon where we meet you, and not like Atlantic City or some other one, you'll be... Mike's friends with all the dealers. All the dealers love Mike. So you'll be right at home. You'll be part of the family immediately.
And that's we were just talking about that this weekend. That's the one thing. There was a guy at Rincon this weekend who was from LA, but has been coming down to Rincon to gamble a lot. And he knew of, quite a few of the people. And he actually said, the reason I come here and don't go to other places is because it's almost like a family here.
Yeah. It's a good group. I know we keep going on about Rincon. It's just a local casino here. And most of you listening, you're
never going to go there.
Right. And it's not like it's, I don't want to make it out to be, oh my gosh, this is the greatest casino in the world, but we have a good time there. It's fun. So.
Well, and there is a casino just like that in your area. I guarantee it.
Yeah. If you've got more than one casino, if you're not limited to just one,
right.
Shop around, because you will find, one that's friendly. I agree. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com. You can bet on that. And please, if you can, review us on iTunes, because that always helps us get new listeners. All right, Mike. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Very good. Go out there and win at your gambling.
Good luck.
Good night.
Good night.